So, do you want to talk about some books that put you on the edge of your seat? Because that's what we're here to talk about. My name is Kindred, this is Readworthy, and welcome or welcome back. If you like what you see, or you like me, or you like this video, just give a like, and subscribe. Because I come at least once a week and talk about books that I like a lot. So here we are, talk about books that I like a lot. So this is about books that put you on the edge of your seat, makes you page turners. They could be thrillers. A lot of them are, but there are some in here that are not thrillers. I've got some sci-fis in here. I think I've even got a historical fiction or two. So I've got quite a bit of books to talk about that might make you want to read it very quickly to find out what happens to the characters, to the story, and so forth. I don't know what you want to call that video, because it's not exactly like the best thrillers or the best horror or anything like that. It's just books that you want to read quickly. So here we go. We're going to go through the books that I have read. This is within the last 2 years. So it's not exactly like a small stack. So the first one we're going to talk about is called The Haunting of Ashford House. I read this recently. I also gave it out to a friend to read. So there we go. And this book is what they consider a horror. It's by Darcy Coates. This has got kind of some mixed reviews, but I enjoyed it immensely. I like the creepy vibes in horror. I'm not more of a slasher kind of a horror reader. I like to be creeped out. And I feel like that did this. It is obviously kind of almost like a haunting. It is about, her name is Adrian, and she is wheeled this house by a long lost aunt by the name of Edith. And she's pretty much like down on her luck. This is the only thing that she's got going for her, kind of a situation. She has like no money. Like when she gets there, she has like $30. This is her last chance, kind of like to get her life back in order. So she goes to the house, and creepy crap happens real fast. And there's also like rules and stuff to like follow. Obviously the main character doesn't seem to follow those rules. A lot of people call this a cozy mystery, a cozy horror book, because there are slices of life in this book. She, learns about the town, and she goes and talks to people, and she tries to make friends. But when the creepy stuff happens, you're not going to stop turning that page, let me tell you, because, and you're not going to want like jump scares for like someone walking up to you like, hey, that's going to like jump scare the crap out of you. At least it did to me. So just know that going in. So that would be my first one. I gave that book a 4-star when I read it. So another one we're going to talk about, I read last year. It's called Taylor Adams' No Exit. This is about a book about a girl who has a family emergency, and so she has to go and take care of that. And it's such an emergency that she is driving through a snowstorm and ends up pretty much stranded and at one of those like truck depot kind of things, like where you're on like an interstate highway, and like, there's these little buildings on the side that like, hey, stop here and use the restroom or what have you, or get a map. And so she finds one of those, and she can't go any farther. So she goes to this little place, and there happens to be like 4 or 5 other people there. And so obviously no one really knows anybody, and they're just trying to wait out the storm. And at one point in time, she has no cell service, just like any other thriller in the middle of nowhere situations. She has no cell service, so she's going outside to try to get some. And at that time that she goes outside, one of those times that she goes outside, she finds a kid in the van that's not hers, and she doesn't know who this kid is, and the kid's locked up and obviously in distress. So she's trying to figure out how to save the kid without getting caught, and figure out whose van it is also. There's a lot of holy crap, what's going to happen next moments in this book, and it is a ride, let me tell you. It's great stuff. It's considered a thriller. I gave this book 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I liked it a lot. I wouldn't change anything about this book at all. So the next book that I read was, well, the next book that we're going to talk about is from last year, and it's called Kindred by Octavia Butler. I read this in the very beginning of the year, so I don't have it. I don't own it. I need to get a copy because I really did enjoy this book. It is my historical fiction. She's either half black or she is black, and she is moving in with her boyfriend. Oh no, sorry. Her and her husband are, like I said, it's been a while. Her and her husband are getting into a new apartment. So she's literally pulled back in time. Like all of a sudden, she's not there in her own apartment with her husband anymore because she's back in, I think it was 1819. And when she's pulled back, she doesn't have much time to like think, where am I, what's happening? Because there's a little boy drowning in the river or lake or what have you. And so she's saving that little boy, to come to find out that she is in the 1819. And obviously this is not good for her. And she's considered a slave. So it goes from there. She's pulled back, she comes and goes, and she's pulled back multiple times. And it is great. Like I said, every time, because you as a reader, and obviously her herself, don't figure out this whole time travel thing, all you know is that it's going to happen sooner or later. And so that's constantly making you on your edge of your seat. And then her being back there is not a good time for her. Not only that, but she also has got a little bit of medical like knowledge. And so like things that happen when it comes to like, getting hurt or sicknesses, she's like, oh crap, we don't have the medicine for that anymore. Or, oh crap, we don't have that. So like it's her trying to figure some stuff out, how to survive, and also how to get this stuff to stop, because obviously she doesn't want to keep going back. It is great. And it starts out fantastic too. It will grab you from the first chapter, let me tell you. It's good stuff. I gave it 5 stars. It's good. Okay, so the next book that I'm going to talk about is called People Like Her by Ellery Lloyd. And this is a thriller. And this is about a woman who has her whole life on social media, whether that be Instagram or not TikTok, but something around those lines, YouTube. And she's trying to play the part of a mother who doesn't have all her crap together, but she's trying her hardest. And so she wants other mothers to be like, let's band together. Let's figure it out being a mother together, kind of a situation. And in reality, she does have her crap together, and she feels like she's got everything figured out. And even though it's in her, social media life, she's pretending she has this beautiful, wonderful marriage that like has no flaws, but the quirky ones that are funny, that are entertaining for social media, except for those, everything else is perfect between them. But in reality, they're not perfect. And so anyway, so she ends up having a stalker, and she doesn't know it. And it's going back and forth between and it's not a very big book. It's going forth between the two of herself, her living her life, her normal life, and her always constantly worried about social media situations. And then from the stalker's point of view, but you don't know who the stalker is. It's not like my name is, Ellen or something, and this is who I am. It gets very worrisome very quickly. I ended up giving this book a 3-star, and the only reason I did is because I didn't realize going in all the trigger warnings in this book, and there is a lot. If you have anything to do with child abuse that really affects you in any way. Not only that, but when I read this book, I just had my daughter. It was not even 2 years yet, and there's a baby in this book that also it's almost like child abuse, almost, but it's child neglect for the baby. And so having to read that was very, very difficult and hard for me, because I was putting my own daughter in that situation. And so because of that, I wasn't prepared or ready for that, because I didn't know that there was this trigger warning. And so I wasn't prepared to go through that, to read that. And there was times I was actually listening to this book. There were times I was skipping through just so I wouldn't have to hear those parts. So it went down to a 3-star. But if that's something that you can read through, or you've read through multiple times, and even if you have to skip through those parts like I did, it's still a very edge on your seat, like, holy crap, what's going to happen to these characters kind of situation. And the chapters with the stalker, he or she, like, their plans and their situations and their, like, thinking process, like, has you on your edge of your seat by the end of each chapter, because you're like, oh no, what are they capable of? What are they capable of? So throughout the whole book, that makes you very edgy and wants to flip through to figure out what happens next. So the next books that I'm going to talk about are horror, and it's the Horror King, Stephen King, and it's The Mist and The Shining. I have noticed that I really enjoy his older stuff more so than the newer stuff. And I also like it, not so much with Shining, but I also like it when they're smaller stories, because then he doesn't ramble as much. This one got 4 stars out of me, and this one got 5 stars out of me. And they are very, very good at keeping you very worried for the characters at all times. This is like almost like a monster kind of situation, and this is almost like a horror situation, almost kind of like a psychological thriller kind of a horror situation with a little bit of haunting. This is about a man and his son. They go to the grocery store after a big, huge storm, and when they go, a mist comes into town, and anyone that enters that mist, like, doesn't come back. So there's that. That's all I can give you, because, hello, small. Then The Shining is about a dad, a mother, and a little boy, and they go to a hotel, which is humongous. During the winter months, it snows quite a bit, to the point where this hotel is like it can't be used for its proper situation. So they just close it down completely. But to make sure that it's taken care of and that it doesn't go to pot, they have someone stay there and make sure that everything is taken care of that needs to be taken care of. And so the father gets that opportunity to do that, and he takes it because he is an author, and he was trying to write a book, and so he's trying to finish off, and he's hoping by going here that gives him his time to be able to do so. And creepy stuff starts happening. Even though the movie is very, very good, I actually really enjoy the book more so. I know that that's kind of controversy back and forth, like there's a lot of people who prefer the movie than the book, but I actually really enjoy the book more so than the movie. There are a few things that, like, Stephen King does, which kind of like Miranda's, and it could have been cut a little bit, but the ending of this and even the more creepy stuff that happens in this book is awesome. It's amazing. So I prefer the book. The next book that I'm going to talk about is a thriller, and it should be no surprise, it's Riley Sager. But unlike a lot of people who say Lock Every Door, my favorite was Home Before Dark. I felt like this is more of a page turner than Lock Every Door. This is about a girl, and it's 2 timelines. It has one of her when she's a little girl, and it's actually written like from the father's point of view, like he writes a book, and then it's her as a grown-up, and because this book is extremely famous, she's like fed up and done with it, right? And so he writes his experience in this house, his point of view of the experience and everything that happened to him and his family during this stay, because they only stay there for like a month and then they move out immediately. And then this book gets published and, written and published. This is him explaining why it only took them a month to stay there before they got the hell out of there. In the very beginning of the book, finds out, she just assumed that the house was sold, right? But then her father dies and wills her this house, and she's like, I didn't even know that you still had this house. And her mom's like, just don't go there, just sell it off. And she's like, nope, I'm not going to do that. She in her profession, she goes to houses and flips them and then sells them. So that was her plan. Not only that, but she wanted to find answers to see if this book is truly on, like her dad's book was actually had a leg to stand on. And so she's got multiple reasons to go to this house. So she does that. I gave that book 5 stars. It's a good book. It's really good. So the next books that I'm going to talk about are in sci-fi, and they are by Andy Weir, and both of them are by Andy Weir, because we've got Project Hail Mary and we've got The Martian. And I read this, and because I loved it so much, I read this, and I enjoyed it just as much. That's a lie. I enjoyed this more, but I mean, come on, they're real close in competition, let me tell you. If you enjoyed this or if you enjoyed this, read the other, vice versa, okay? Because they are great. This one has a movie out that actually did a really good job of it, and this one apparently is going to have a movie coming out. So let's hope they did just as good as they did with this one, because this one is a lot bigger. A lot more happens in this one. So this one is about pretty much saving the world. So this book is about a guy who wakes up in a spaceship and he has lost his memory. He has no idea why he's there. He doesn't even know who he is, let alone his name. Okay, so there's that timeline. And then another timeline is of him at Earth before the spaceship situation. And so it's him in the beginning on the spaceship trying to figure out who the hell he is. And when he starts figuring it out, then he realizes he's like pretty much on a mission to save Earth. But it happens to be that all the other people on his ship are all dead, and he's the only one left alive, and he's the only one that's able to do the mission now. And then the other timeline, like I said before, is before he gets on this ship and all the events that lead up to him getting on that ship. And then there's a little bit more to this, and if you know, you know, but once that little bit more comes into play, it is so fantastic. I enjoyed this book immensely. And I'm not a sci-fi reader, and I yet completely, and there was a couple things that were like, whoo, but he has a great way of making books, sci-fi books, just so easily readable. Like you can get through them so quickly and not feel lost. And in this book, it's about a guy who's in space, obviously. He is supposed to be doing a trip to Mars, and he gets stuck on Mars by himself. And it's about him trying to survive. These are fantastic. There are many times that you're flipping through these pages pretty quickly just so you can find out what happens to these characters. And the characters are lovable 100%. And I couldn't recommend these books more than I am right now. So they were fantastic, and obviously 5 stars. Okay, so the next book that I'm going to talk about, I have out to land. Someone's got it. The Cabin at the End of the Woods by Paul Tremblay. It is about two guys who are married and adopted a little girl, and they are on a trip. They are on vacation at this cabin in the middle of nowhere. And they're trying to relax, and all of a sudden this guy shows up and starts talking to the little girl who's up in the front porch area while the 2 dads are in the back. And he starts talking to her about scary stuff, really scary stuff. And then when she gets her dads involved, all of a sudden there's more people that come with this guy. They all are a group of 5. And they all have certain kinds of weapons, and they pretty much say that stuff needs to happen, and if this stuff doesn't happen, then the world's going to end within I think it was 48 hours or something. It's real close. And it is a novella, so it's very short. So therefore, because it's short and sweet, because it goes by real fast, and stuff happens real quickly. And it's scary, and no one's safe. I gave this book 4 stars. I wasn't a big fan of the ending, but other than that, but it wasn't. That was more me than the actual book. So just know that going in. But there were times that I didn't want to continue reading because I was afraid of what was going to happen next. So there you go. So the next book that I'm going to talk about is Verity by Colleen Hoover. This is I guess I wouldn't call this romance. Colleen Hoover is known as a romance writer. This is a thriller with a little bit of, I guess you could call it romance involved. But it's about this woman who is given the opportunity to write or finish off a series that another woman was writing. She got in a horrific car accident. She's pretty much comatose. And so the husband has informed his agent that, hey, my wife really liked this author, and they're kind of almost like the writing styles are pretty similar. And so I want you to get her to write the rest of my wife's series to finish it off. And it's a very well-loved, very well-known series. And so this author is a little hesitant at first because she doesn't want to screw anything up. But she's kind of down on her luck, so she takes the job. She goes to their like vacation home to finish off the series. So that way, because the husband says that like her study has everything and anything that she needs to like prepare herself and get ready, including of course the books and any notes that she had for these characters in her series. And so he's like, you should just come. There's so much of it. Just come and stay here and continue doing the series here. I promise it'll help out a lot. And so that's what she does. And creepy stuff happens real fast. And scary stuff happens real quick. And it is great. It's so good. And it's got such a good ending because it really makes you think. And it has, like, if you were to, I made other people read this book that don't even read books. Like right off the bat, I was like, hey, read this book. Because I wanted to discuss the situations that happened in the book towards the end. I wanted to see their point of view and what they thought. This is that kind of book that will make you want to read with other people or want to discuss right after you were finished it with it because you want to know everyone else's point of view and to see if it kind of correlates with your point of view. And let me tell you, it's been a long time since I read a book that made me actually want to do that. Like made me want to shove this in people's hands whether they wanted to or not. 5 stars. Obviously. So the last author we're going to talk about in the last couple of books that we're going to discuss is by Ruth Ware, and that's The Turn of the Key and One by One. So this one I just finished like maybe a few days ago, and this one was last year. So this one is about a girl who's pretty much trying to figure out a way to live life and get her shit together. And she comes across this job application for being a nanny. And so she applies for it and gets it. And she gets there to find out that they've gone through a lot of nannies, multiple. So when she gets there, there are 3 children. And one of them is a baby and the other 2 are a little bit older, but they're really close in age, 2 girls. And there's a lot of spooky happenings. And that's what she's told of why the other nannies just split and get the crap out of there as quickly as possible. There's the main version of her and this inside this house and the things that happen. But then you get like these little bits in the very beginning, in the middle, and the end, obviously. Little bits of her because she has been arrested. Even though it tells you why she was arrested in the synopsis, I'm not going to tell you. I feel like that's kind of, and I hope if you don't know anything about this book, I would go in without reading the synopsis because I feel like that kind of gave away something. I don't think it should have been in there. But she is in jail for a very bad thing. And so she's trying to find a lawyer to take care of her case because pretty much it was like a locked case. Like they're like, oh, throw her in there and lock the door because she's definitely the problem. She needs to go to jail.
Sometimes I'll start a sentence and I don't even know where it's going. I just hope I find it along the way.
She's trying to find a lawyer that is willing to take her case again to prove her innocence. And this is very, very good. And it keeps you on your seat. It keeps you on the edge of the seat. She's left there without the parents. The parents have to go on a trip. And so she's in charge for multiple days. I would say that's about 1/4 of the book is her getting there. And then once she gets there and starts actually staying the night there and everything, it gets really creepy really quick. This got 4 stars out of me. But One by One is one of her recent books. And this one got 3 stars out of me, but it's almost a 4. Like it's real close there. This book is about this company, almost like it's a social media company, but it's like for music. So like if you joined this app, it's a phone app, and if you join this app, then you're able to listen to like your favorite movie star. If they're listening to music, you get to listen to what they're listening to at the exact same time. And so this is a very addicting app, and it's somewhat successful. And so it's about these people who work, and it's a very, very small company. So it's about these people who work in this company, and they go do a ski resort kind of trip, like a company trip together. And then it's from two point of views. It's from one who is a woman who works in this company, and the other one is from the woman, because there are two, the ski resort, the place that they stay is not exactly like a resort. It's more like almost like a cabin, and it's only taken care of by two people. One is the chef, and the other person is like, the person that takes care of the rooms and such. And so Erin is the one taking care of the rooms, and Liz is the one who is in charge, is part of the company, who is coming to stay. And people, and you know this from the very, very get-go, people start dying very, very quickly. There's a big, huge avalanche, and they are stuck in this little cabin. Oh, that's not little, but they're stuck in this cabin. A lot of people don't like this book. When you pull it up on Goodreads, there are a lot of bad reviews on this book, but I feel like that's just crap. This was a very entertaining read. I enjoyed it immensely. The reason I would think that people don't enjoy it as much is because at one point in time, like if you're a very avid thriller reader, if you enjoy reading thrillers, like, and you read them a lot and you've seen and read it all, then the killer of this book is going to be very noticeable very, very quickly. I was enjoying my read so much. I was enjoying the ride I was on so much that I didn't even want to try to figure it out. And I feel like that's good because I've never experienced that. I've never experienced just wanting to enjoy the ride and not trying to figure crap out. Even when I watch movies, it drives my husband crazy because I'm like, this is what's happening. That's what's happening. Like I'm getting the twists before the twists come because I enjoy doing that. But I didn't want to do that with this book. Did I figure out the killer before it was like revealed to you as the reader? Yes, but not as quickly as I think that technically I should have been a thriller reader. But like I said, that's because the actual story was very entertaining. I enjoyed it immensely. And once the killer is revealed, you will not put this book down. You will not, because you want to know what is going to happen. You want to know how it's going to end. Another reason why I ended up giving this book though a 3-star is because once all the action ends and once everything is done and said and the book should have ended, but it didn't. For whatever reason, there's like 3 or 4 chapters where it's like the aftermath, but it's not necessary. It's not needed by any means at all. And so it's just like, why did you add that? That could have just been taken out and this would have made it a 4-star read for me. But so I was just like, I don't know why you did that. So I still don't know, obviously, I don't know the author. But the ride of this book is a fantastic one. And I feel like the bad reputation it has is not deserved at all. Nope. So that's all my books. Those are all my recommendations. If you want to read a book that makes you just go, oh my God, what's going to happen next? Read these books because they are fantastic. And I'll see you later. Bye.